Welcome back. Your time is 3:37 on this beautiful Easter Monday. I'm Martin Daubney. This is GB News. Now, ministers are reportedly working with concerned backbenchers to secure exemptions to proposed immigration plans. The government is consulting on proposals that would make it harder to secure settled status here in the UK. But the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, is facing pressure to ensure that measures do not apply to those already in the country. It's another Labour U-turn, this time on immigration. Let's discuss it now with my next guest. That's the Head of Domestic Policy at Pickthall House, Jacob Williams. Jacob, welcome to the show and a happy Easter to you, sir. Here we go again. Another rebellion, this time around immigration. Shabana Mahmood is trying her hardest to make it harder, take longer to get the indefinite leave to remain in Britain, extending it from 5 to 10 years, but there could be a backbench rebellion in the offing.
Absolutely, and I think it's quite an indictment of the backbenchers who are planning this rebellion. I mean, this is a very necessary, very proportionate measure, simply to stop people who came in the Boriswave of migration that nobody voted for, nobody wanted. That's been a disaster for this country in terms of the economic impact, with millions of unskilled or low-skilled migrants, many of whom are not working at all, who are not integrated, who have very high and disproportionate rates of crime. And it's entirely reasonable to say, well, there's simply no good grounds to give these people indefinite leave to remain, even if they're already here and haven't broken the law. We can apply this retroactively. So this rebellion is at best self-indulgent, at worst absolutely destructive, and we should hope that the government are able to override it.
And I wonder, Jacob, if this feeds into our top story at the top of the hour, and that is the expansion of the two-child benefits system. Those benefits ostensibly are going to people who might be happy to vote for the Labour Party. If there's a sudden clampdown on immigration by the Labour Party, that's very damaging to those on the left of the party, those who might vote, for example, for the Greens, and dare I say it, it's damaging to those Labour Party MPs in constituencies where they might lose to an insurgent left party. Is this backbench rebellion about that same old thing, political self-preservation?
In many cases, it might be. I think it's a mix of self-preservation and a genuine kind of ideological commitment to bringing people in as quickly as possible. But either way, in a sense, it doesn't really matter what the motive is. The reality is the country has simply had far too many people come far too quickly who haven't integrated and are not contributing to the economy at the level at which they should. We need to do something about this, and it doesn't appear that this government is able to do what is needed. So whatever the motive is, we need to. Yeah, this is not the right thing to do, and it is not contributing to a healthy outcome for our immigration policy, or indeed for those migrants who are settled, productive, and integrated, who don't wish to be affected by those who are not.
Jacob, do you think the problem that the Labour Party has over immigration and other topics and benefits is pretty similar to what the Conservatives had over Brexit? There are two wings of the party rowing in different directions. We had a Remainer rump, we had a Brexit rump for the Conservatives. It tore the party apart. We have a woke liberal left of the Labour Party, you might say. These are these rebels here. And then there's the red wall, who know they have to be more leaning into the reform end of the spectrum to make their own seats safe, and never the twain shall meet. Jacob, could this issue rip the party apart?
Well, I wouldn't like to make an exact prediction as to whether the party is going to split, but I would say it's very clear this is not a government that has a clear ideological direction, and I completely agree with you. It is divided between a centrist, managerial, technocratic group around Keir Starmer and similar figures, and, as you say, a more woke, if you like, a more heart-left contingent who really don't have that much in common, but are struggling to try to put together some kind of coherent vision. And it does just seem as though we're watching what is quite often a zombie government with no coherent plan and no coherent vision at all.
Part of the problem, of course, Jacob Williams, is these policies are very, very expensive. Now, there have been studies across the continent of Europe that have shown the same thing. Typically, people from non-European countries, especially those with a further cultural chasm from our own, tend to contribute less to the economy over time, and they end up becoming pensioners too. They end up becoming drawers away. They don't really ever recuperate in terms of a tax receipt of what they take out, and this is the problem. All these policies might be well-meaning, might be ideologically driven, but economically they make little sense for a healthy economy.
Oh, I entirely agree. And of course, there are migrants who've come here and have done great things for the economy, including from non-European backgrounds. But the recent wave in the last 5 or 6 years are overwhelmingly low skilled, many of them not working at all. That's not going to change. And giving them indefinite leave to remain or allowing them to keep that status will lead to an enormous drain on the state in the future over many, many decades. It's entirely reasonable and proportionate to try to do something about this.
Superb. So thank you very much for joining us on this Easter Monday. Hope you have a fabulous day. Thank you very much. That's the Head of Domestic Policy at Pickthall House, Jacob Williams. Thank you very, very much indeed.